Alright, so the first flaw that I talked about with scalp tension theory was that my scalp's not tense. Like where it's bald, like the tension is not as great as where I have hair. Like it's way more tense here. And I said, well maybe, since it's the tension in the galea, and when you pinch your scalp you actually can't pinch the galea, then maybe I can't really discern how tense the galea is by just pinching. Like that is, skin tension is completely unrelated to the galea tension. In fact, it's inversely related. See, could that be? Where your galea is the most tense, your skin is the most loose? I don't know. That doesn't really make sense to me, but let's just say that's true. Scalp tension, galea tension is inversely related to skin tension, or completely unrelated, one of those two. And it is actually such that my scalp is tense in the areas where it is common that men get male pattern baldness. So if that's all true, then the second major flaw that I see in this theory is what causes it. And again, I came across this theory almost 7 years ago, and I structured all my interventions based on it, and I believed in it 100%, and it didn't work. So I'm not trying to be a jerk, although it's just natural for me. I'm just trying to figure out maybe why it doesn't work, why it's flawed. Not that the stuff I'm doing is like, I'll probably be doing the same stuff with my stuff that I'm doing right now, years from now. Trying to figure this stuff out. That's all I'm doing, trying to figure stuff out. So why do scalps get tense? Now what I didn't clarify at the time when I came across this theory, and I still don't know, is whose scalp is tense, right? If it is, when they measured, they did like the little scan of the head, and you see that the tension is the different colors, and like based on the colors you can see like this is more tense and this is more tense than this area. Like whose head was that? Is that everyone's head? Or is that just men's heads? Or is that just guys with male pattern baldness heads? I'm really not sure. So if you know, then please clarify that with me. But let's assume, I'm just going to go through each of those scenarios because however way it shakes out, it seems like you have to either blame it on DHT, genetics, or head shape. And it's kind of interesting because like this is like, you know, alternative hair loss theory people are pushing this, but you know, they're like, oh no, it's not really DHT and genetics, it's like the scalp tension thing, which ultimately has to do with your DHT and genetics. It's just like, I don't know, it kind of bugs me. You know, is it really an alternate explanation if you're still blaming it on DHT and genetics? So anyway, this is how I see it shaking out. So if everyone has scalp tension in these areas, like the way the diagram shows, right? So let's just say everyone has it. From baby to grown adult, male to female, it doesn't matter. Those are the areas of greatest scalp tension. So then why would it be that only males after puberty get hair loss if everyone has the same tension? You'd have to blame it on DHT, right? At least that's how that's what the people who push this theory blame it on, right? Oh well, it's just that inflammation or that scalp tension causes inflammation, which combines with DHT, the male hormone that only males get after puberty, well, in excess amounts, and that causes fibrosis, and then so that cuts off the blood flow and the hairs die out. Right. So the problem I have with that is infant hair loss, which is all over my site and my videos. You see all these pictures of babies with the same hair loss pattern, the exact same hair loss patterns as you see in adult men. And babies don't have that, they don't have DHT. Or they have, like, if DHT exists, they have a minimal amount. Right? So a fraction of the amount of DHT in an infant compared to an adult man and they both have the same hair loss patterns. These infants, without ever having to break up fibrosis or deal with their scalp inflammation, they don't have to do any of these interventions that are being pushed by the people who propose this theory, and yet they will have a 100% recovery rate. Right? They'll grow full hairlines. No DHT blockers, right? No microneedling, full 100% hair growth at the hairline. So that's why I don't think it's DHT, or DHT has anything to do with anything. That's my problem with if you say everyone has scalp tension. So ultimately it comes down to infants have same hair growth patterns as adult men. Infants don't have DHT or very minimal amounts of DHT if it exists. So I'm not buying it anymore. It can't be that in my view. So then let's go over to only men. There's something about adult men after puberty where they get scalp tension. Right? It's only the skulls in adult men after puberty where there's scalp tension. So you can go to the DHT fibrosis thing, but then it's like, well, if it's DHT, then why do only certain men after puberty experience hair loss, even though everyone has the scalp tension? Or maybe it's only, the other way would have to be is like only certain men after puberty have the scalp tension. And they're saying, well, then what causes it? What causes the only a few, like a certain percentage of men after puberty to get the scalp tension? Why does it occur at various times in their life? Like it's not always after puberty. It could be 5 years after puberty, it could be 10 years, it could be 15 years after puberty that they develop this tension. Or it developed this DHT combined with the tension and inflammation to create the fibrosis or whatever. All right. You can't blame it on DHT if all men have high DHT levels, but only some men have the scalp tension and some men don't, or only some men suffer from the scalp tension and DHT and that causes hair loss and some don't. So what's the ultimate causative factor? Can't be scalp tension, right? What's causing the scalp tension difference, or the DHT plus scalp tension difference? And the only way I see, the only explanation I think, maybe, I don't even know if this is proposed or not, but you'd have to blame it on genetics. And for me, once you get to saying, oh, it's genetic, that means I give up. I have no idea what's going on. Right? You go to a doctor and you say, I have this disease. And he just names off these risk factors. Oh, do you smoke? No. Oh, do you drink regularly? Oh, no. Do you exercise? Yeah. Do you eat a healthy diet? Yeah. Oh, well, then it's just genetic. Right? That's what they'll do. Right? They'll just go through like, oh, do you do this? Do you do this? Like, no. Like, how did I get it? Like, oh, I guess it's just genetic. It means I have no idea what's going on. I give up. It's just a way of saying that, but like still being like, I'm an authority on science and medicine kind of figure. So yeah, blaming something on genetics is just, I give up. Not to mention, no one's ever seen genetics or seen like a gene leaving the nucleus. No one's ever seen endoplasmic reticula, ribosomes in action, or in a live cultured cell. Not cultured, but a live cell under a light microscope. Never mind all of that. It just seems like once you say genetics, like it's just conversation ender. Like, I give up. I don't really know what the answer is. It's just genetic, right? It can't be that for me. From my perspective, it can't be only certain men because of genetics have this scalp tension or have the scalp tension plus DHT thing that combines to form hair loss. I can't just, I'm not going to assume that. I'm not going to just chalk it up to genetics. All right. But now in that same line, let's say that only males after puberty get this scalp tension. You could relate it to skull shape, but then you're in my field. Right? You're on my turf. And I can argue against scalp tension and blood flow causing hair loss if you're blaming it ultimately on the shape of your skull. The reason being is because, or several reasons. One is that if, based on how we bald, based on how our hairline recedes, right, I don't think it could be blood flow related to scalp tension, because these supraorbital arteries stretch up into the hairline, and then this temporal artery also stretches into the hairline. And if you're having these bulging patterns that are causing tension in the galea and compressing the blood vessels, then my expectation would be that the hairs that are at the very ends of these arteries, right, where they stretch out the furthest, and that would be inside the hairline. Those would be the hairs that are most vulnerable to miniaturization, right? The one, because it's not just, just feeding the hairs at the hairline exactly. It's got to be feeding the hairs inside the hairline too. This has to be feeding the hairs inside the hairline and then stretches, I guess someone could stretch, I don't know, it stretches this way and whatever. Just seems like the hairs inside would be most vulnerable first. You lose those first, and then the ones at the hairline might go eventually. But that's not how we bald. Right, so these go up, and then these stretch. I think these stretch and feed the middle hair. This temporal artery comes up and feeds the middle. Right? So if it's stretched where it's not, like this is balding, but this isn't. Like, why are the hairs in the middle of the, right, not at the end, right, it's stretching all the way to this area where I have hair, but here where it's not the furthest reaches of this artery, these are the hairs that have miniaturized and disappeared. Right? Why haven't the ones at the far reaches of the artery been the most vulnerable? It doesn't make sense. And then the other knock against that is for toddler hair loss patterns. And I put pictures of this up on my website and on other videos. You'll notice that, toddlers commonly have this giant bulge on their forehead. But even if they have that bulge, not all toddlers will have a receding hairline pattern. Some do, some don't. It depends on whether that bulge actually affects the contours of the skull. So like, if their forehead's all bulgy, but like here at the hairline, there's no curvature, like it's all flat, then they'll have hair, right? Even though these arteries have to stretch around that bulge and these arteries have to stretch across that bulge, like that doesn't seem to be compressing the galea at all and causing a disruption in blood flow, because these hairs are still growing. So I don't think it's blood flow, I think it's life force flow. So anyway, if you have anything to clarify with me, let me know. Like that diagram with the colors, who does that apply to? Does that apply to everyone? Right? And if it does, then it's got to be DHT, but I don't think it's DHT because toddlers have hair loss. Or not hair loss, but the same growth patterns as adult men. And then if it's only men after puberty, then you eventually just have to blame it on genetics, and genetics is I give up. And then if it's skull shape, then I don't think that it's a blood flow issue. I think it's a life force issue, life force flow issue. If I'm missing anything, let me know. Because I'm open to being wrong, but I don't think I am. I'll fight it. I don't like being wrong, but I'm open to it. Right? We're all trying to figure this stuff out together. I'm going to get back to work in the notes for something else.